also have Greg be able to just give a brief summary.
No pressure, Greg.
Because then you don't have to do it at the end like you've been doing the last couple meetings.
All right, you are good to go.
Okay, perfect. All right, it is 5:04, and we're going to call to order the Wichita Citizens Review Board September meeting. I'd entertain a motion to get an approval of the minutes for August 28th if there are no changes. All in favor? Any abstentions? All right, one abstention, Timothy. Otherwise, it's minutes for August 28th are approved. Next is the public agenda, and each speaker shall be limited to 5 minutes. I didn't see the
Vincent signed up.
All right, Vince, you're up.
I'll make this short and sweet. I believe we got some step movement in the right direction. I think we can continue to move so. While you all are predominantly in charge of the Citizens Review Board webpage, there's also some overlap with the PSB page, where we managed to spell the word Wichita correctly all but one time. So first thing I encourage on web pages is we need to have a contact person on each and every web page to say who's responsible for this web page. When we notice opportunities for improvement, who do we get a hold of? It just basically says, "Oh, get a hold of the city." So whether it's Zach or whether it's Aaron or whether it's somebody in city comms, we need to know who to go. So, and to remind people who live in this town that we don't spell it like the Wicked Witch. That's how it's spelled on the PSB webpage. 2 inches away from where it's spelled correctly. So it's just complete oopsie. The next thing, on an attaboy and an oopsie. On an attaboy, we now have an electronic version of completed and pending cases on the website. It's a step in the right direction because it allows people to see it without having to come every single month. That's a good thing. The bad thing is they did it through Smartsheet. If you use the tools on that web page to print it out, you get about a third of the page and you get about the top 4 entries. Now, if you're a technical person like me, it takes about 4 clicks to get around all of that and download it as an actual spreadsheet. But if you're not a technical person, it's this close to worthless because it allows you to view it, but you can't search it and you can't print it. So I'm going to say, attaboy on, we have the information publicly available. We can do some more work on making it useful to the people who actually may stumble across it. But it is a link from the PSB website. And I just think on behalf of the non-technical people, we need to make it a little bit more accessible. Appreciate that.
Can I ask you a clarifying question?
Certainly.
On the CRB page, it does have the CRB email. Are you saying there isn't any contact information on the PSB page?
There's no contact information for who manages that website,
Oh,
who
okay.
manages that web page, and who we should send those corrections to.
You're talking like IT.
Right.
Okay.
I don't know if it goes to WPD IT, if it goes to City Comms IT. I could email every single person in the city and eventually get the right one, but they probably would want to do that.
Thank you, Vince.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? All right. So it looks like we have training presentations around policy 305 and then the tattoo policy. Is there a presentation? What? On the tattoo policy. Okay, we're just talking about it then? Okay. I didn't know if there was a presentation. Are either one of those policies in process of being updated? Okay.
And they both of those are in your emails about 2 weeks ago. If you need to reference them.
Everybody a chance to pull those up.
The tattoo policy wasn't an actual PDF, so I just copied and pasted it and sent it in the email. And then the policy 305 was the PDF that I attached in this.
So I guess I have a question. On the very first one of your procedures, when it says officer shall not interrogate any juvenile under 14 without first obtaining consent from parents, custodians. So does that mean, because we've had cases where that's been an issue that's been brought up, is that, do the due diligence to find out if that's the custodial parent or just a parent?
I guess depends. That's a tough question to answer. I mean, how we do our diligence to prove it's the parent or legal guardian.
But not anything to do with custody.
Like if the man's watching them or something.
Or if there's custody battles going on and one parent isn't allowed to see him for a little while, but that parent's the one that gives you permission, so the custodial parent doesn't know, just as a hypothetical.
Yeah. So we'll check the records to see if there's any type of custody issues or protection from
Okay.
abuse issues where the court has taken the kid from one parent for a while. But unless it specifically says in there, then it's a civil matter of who can still make decisions. Even if it says the parent can't see the child, it doesn't necessarily mean the parent still isn't the parent, I guess, if that makes sense. So there's multiple facets to that. So it's not an easy answer to say, just because, maybe you've got a child whose case is pending and you can't be around the kid, doesn't mean you're not still in the court's eye of custodial parent.
So policy is that anything done with children unless parents waive their rights is all done in front of the guardian.
If they are under 14.
Thank you.
Piggybacking off of that, I have a few questions. In the same procedure section under item A, interrogating juveniles, it talks about parent contact. If parent contact is attempted but not reached, it says essentially that you need to have a parent present unless they waive their consent. So if a parent is unable to be reached, does questioning still proceed?
What note? Where are you reading that?
This is a line item under procedures A, interrogating juveniles. It says, officers shall not interrogate any juvenile under 14 years of age without first obtaining consent from the juvenile's parents or custodians. So if the parent or custodian is unable to be reached, does questioning still continue?
Your question is if we can't contact the parents?
If you're unable,
No.
no.
Is that your question?
If you're unable to reach the parents or the custodian or the guardian, do you still question the juvenile that's under 14? If you've attempted to reach them, but you're unable to reach them?
No.
Okay. So then what happens in that instance?
I mean, we don't interview them. It says right there, the first line, officers shall not interrogate any juvenile under the age of 14 unless you obtain those things. So if you don't obtain consent from the parent, it says an officer shall not interrogate. So.
Okay, yes, however, I guess moving on to one and then bullet point A under that, the parent, or excuse me, still under one, if one parent custodian consents to the interview but one parent objects, interrogation should not start or started, it should cease immediately. So does that just mean after you gain consent, that's only the only time where interrogation would have started, and then it would need to cease if the other parent does not consent?
Yeah, so if there's like, let's say we get called to a home, one parent's at the store, the other parent's home, and we ask that parent that's home for consent, they give consent. The other one comes home and says, no, you can't interview them, and we stop.
My last question is, does the rules for interrogating a juvenile still stretch to questioning a juvenile at school, at JDF?
And those are two different things.
Okay.
And B covers questioning juveniles at school, so B covers all those procedures.
And Captain Cooley, we may have discussed this when we initially talked about this, but the age of 14 was selected as a cutoff based on
State law.
okay.
Because that was gonna be my next question, is it state law that governs why 14 to 17-year-olds don't have the same rights as 14-year-olds?
That's 13 and under.
I guess my only thing is that I would recommend is that it doesn't specify not needing, unless I missed it, I was half asleep reading this, I'm so sorry. It does not specify that you do not need a parental consent to question juveniles at school or at JDF. I don't know if that's clear or conveyed to the parents, but it's, at least in my review, it's not found in the policy. If those are all completely different things.
Well, it says on number 3, when the pupil is a suspect in the criminal investigation, only the officer or detective will be involved. Or no staff from the school, and it doesn't mention parents.
Correct, but I'm just, the first, I don't know, as I'm reading this, if you're interrogating juveniles at all, I'm assuming that a parent has to be involved in some form with somebody who's 14 years or younger. And you talk about being at school or questioning at a JDF. I'm assuming that I, as a parent, would still have some type of say or some authority over my child in any one of these settings. So I'm just saying it should be a little bit more clear that a parent will not be involved or does not have consent or authority in these settings.
Is that the case?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, yeah.
I also have a question about section E where it says arrest approval. And the language just says that you will contact parents and let them know that a juvenile's been arrested. There's no time frame here. And so it doesn't say like immediately, and maybe I missed that.
It says promptly, but that's pretty subjective.
Yeah. And I know that, it's difficult to know when you could, but as a parent, like if you picked my child up from school, I think I would want to know as soon as I could, and it does say promptly, but within, I don't know.
Yeah, so we're very careful in putting a time frame on stuff because every situation is different. So the officers typically will make every effort, even on scene or wherever they're at, to notify the parents. That doesn't always work that way, just depending on what's going on with that call. But even if they can't on scene or on the way to the JIAC, once they're at JIAC, they're immediately notified from the staff that they're there and everything. So,
So there's another method if you guys had transport and hadn't had a chance to call and process the paperwork.
yeah, they'll do their
Somebody
own.
else would.
Yeah, so even if the officer doesn't make the phone call, JIAC or JDF does it themselves anyway on top of it.
I'm just envisioning a scenario where the officer got busy with paperwork and allowed that to take precedence over notifying the parent. And so I'm glad to know that there's a protocol in place that would not occur.
Yeah, I don't ever know of a time where the juveniles set in there and their parents were never notified. Typically, unless you're talking about a severe crime, they're almost in and out of JIAC. Like that's how fast the turnarounds are with notifications and coming to get them. So it's not a lot of hold time.
And Stephanie, I'm old enough to remember before everybody had one of these. And that was
And prompt would be different.
more, I mean, my early days in the DA's office, there were times, I mean, I can remember times of trying to get a hold of somebody. You know, you get a message on their home machine because it's, I think, it's probably improved dramatically because of cell phones.
This might be semantics, but F3, it uses the word children, it also uses the word kids, and it doesn't use juvenile, so I don't know if number 3 was something that was copied and pasted from somewhere else, but the languages are consistent. I don't know what, I don't know where that came from.
When we review our policies, we try and catch those things.
Also, the sentence is weird. The very first sentence, if officers are summoned to schools to deal with children who are experiencing emotional issues or misbehaving, officers should use the least coercive among reasonable alternatives consistent with public safety,
Yeah.
public order, individual liberty, and then it says, when dealing with these kids. It just,
It is a run-on
Well,
sentence.
copy, I think.
it's quite a heck of a sentence. So, you guys have specific recommendations that we want to give to me about spelling out specificity when parents will and won't be called, because I agree. I think I wouldn't know that if they came to my kid's school that they weren't gonna contact me.
I just, before we make that recommendation, because I'm assuming you're wanting to make one
Yes.
recommendation. The only other thing I would say is that it uses the abbreviations NTA and ATA quite often. And later on down the way, I was able to piece together what those meant, but I just very, very minuscule thing, but just putting somewhere early on with the very first time you use it, if you could put that NTA stands for notice to appear and ATA stands for, or whatever they stand for, I can't
You have a
remember.
definition section for the policy manual at the very beginning of the policy
At the beginning of,
manual, the entire policy manual.
and so we're wanting citizens who are reviewing policies to reference back to the definitions policy every time.
Streamlines things on our end to be able to put a definition section, and it is standard practice across departments countrywide.
Well, you want to be, otherwise you're going to have more inconsistencies.
I don't,
Well, there's already one on C, because it says questioning juveniles at juvenile detention facility, and then brackets JDF. So if JDF is acronym, then that's also in that and not in that.
I don't contest the definition section of ATA, and like on line item L under number 2, it says fill out the agreement to appear and then in parentheses ATA. But so I don't contest using the definition section, but if you're gonna put what ATA stands for, I think you should put what NTA stands for, because it is heavily used in throughout this policy. There's other things like JIAC and UCC, whatnot, that might be used, WPD, AFIS, AFIS. I don't think those things need to be spelled out, but if you're gonna use something heavily more than 10 times in one policy, I think it would be a little bit helpful to put what those mean, personally.
And it's in L what it means, but it's first mentioned in like
B or C.
H, yeah. Just consistency. Anybody want to make a motion, or do we just want to say what we think our recommendation should be and move on to the tapping policy?
I think he's kept some notes here, some of the discussion I had. I'm not in favor of any specific motion. But that's just me.
All right, are you guys okay moving on to tattoo policy?
Okay.
I mean, the policy itself seemed fine to me, but right, you had brought it up in reference to some folks that you knew that were maybe up for promotion that this policy affected. So I'm curious your perspective on that.
Yes, she was just, I believe she has hand tattoos. And I gotta go back to the specific verbiage.
The hand tattoo is one ring tattoo on a hand.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's the only allowance for hands. That's exactly it.
And I know it's reviewed and approved by the chief of police. And then it says, I don't know, I had not reviewed the tattoo policy at the time when she had brought it to me, so I thought it would be something that we could be bringing before the board, to get the board's thoughts on any feedback. So I know I believe she, if I'm not mistaken, she has knuckle tattoos that aren't, I think they're flowers or something like that. And so I know that has presented an issue for her to get the job. And then I know she's been in conversation with somebody, I can't remember the name off the top of my head, who's giving her pushback or something like that. I don't know the full story. I can't remember the full story rather. So that's why I really wanted to bring up the review, or excuse me, the policy.
And I know that we didn't ask this before, but are there any numbers about candidates who are disqualified from the police academy based on tattoo appearance?
I don't know if there's numbers, but in the DQ form, they will put that information in there, but I don't know if anybody compiled that and added it.
I mean, I don't know, this is one that I struggle with because I know it's a professionalism issue. And I also know that a police officer responding, I probably would not want a whole bunch of tattoos on that police officer. However, I don't know that ink on skin would stop somebody from being a good police officer either. And so I can see both sides of the argument here.
I guess I'm concerned that the WPD policy is stricter than the policy that the military has, because I remember tattoo policies changing while I was still in, and they're much more flexible now. Obviously, you can't have face tattoos, but I think it used to be like 20%, 25% of your, and they relaxed that because recruiting is difficult. And so I guess I would want to know why WPD, when they're struggling with recruitment, would stick with a policy that would prohibit people based on expression, as long as it's not.
And I think they could maybe have, is there language like no gang or racism? I mean, like that kind of tattoo, but
Right.
the tattoos are more socially acceptable now, I feel, and I don't know that it's a reason to disqualify somebody who could be a really good officer.
Well, if the policy states that, how long has the policy been in mind? It's been a long time, it's been years. People have tattoos, they mean things, gangs, and like you said. So,
They don't, they don't always be gangs, and so those might be okay.
as
This includes, but is not limited to sexual or profane words, phrases, indecency, lawlessness, violence, sexually explicit material, or any language or depiction that may impair or disrupt the operations of the department or is inconsistent with the mission of the department. I think gangs fall under that category.
how long has the policy been in place? Did it just start?
That's a good question.
No, it didn't just start.
Okay, so
Probably pushing about 6 years. But we do, in our policy for face and hand tattoos, you can get hired with those, but when you're offered the job, you have to enter in an agreement that you will get those removed. So neck, face, and hand tattoos, and we have hired them. They're in the academy right now, but they're going through the process. We understand it's a multi-stage process depending on how dark they are colored in or whatever. So it may take 3 appointments, 4 appointments, or whatever. But as long as you tell us that's what you're doing, we see the progress, they still get hired.
So you are hiring with small tattoos that aren't deemed offensive. And I guess my only concern, because that's been business practice in banks and everything for as long as you can name, but I don't know how you defined it taste.
That's my question too. The language at the very end is very subjective because I don't know what conservative, moderate, not excessive or extreme and a good taste really looks like from one person to the other. It can be very different. So how do you?
And that applies directly to the cosmetic tattoo, right?
My question is if it's approved by the chief now, the chief changes later, does the new chief get to reapprove it? If you're approved once, does it carry over? Or does the new chief get to fire you for a tattoo that the previous chief hired?
We record them, and so as long as they don't add to it, color it in or something like that, they're fine. So I don't know if you use the word grandfather or what, but once it's been approved, it's in our system as approved, it'll be fine.
Is that in writing somewhere?
I don't know if it's in writing, I mean, it's we have an approval process on a document, so even if you want a visible tattoo, you have to get that pre-approved, so you submit it through the document up through your chain, and when we review it, if you know, it doesn't meet these categories, then we sign off, and then that goes in your file, that tattoo was approved, whatever. And we've had some that we just didn't understand, and they come in and they explain, hey, it's a family crest wrapped in a, you know, the sword is really a family crest. I'm just not putting a dagger on my, you know. So we give them a good look. We've been hiring people with neck and hand tattoos for years. We've got some with stars that are getting removed, cherries that are getting removed. I mean, I could go on about all the ones that we've hired. We had a throat one, and he was getting it removed. So it doesn't stop us from hiring anybody. We look at those and we discuss those from the academy when they're brought up to us. I don't know that we would go with any more under this chief, any stricter language on here, because that's really painting people in a corner if you have those, to not give us the option to actually look at those to say we're okay with them or not. You know, at the end of the day, we have a right to hire or not hire anybody we deem. So if the chief deems I don't like that because of whatever, that's his authority to not hire somebody. If this was to get strict and say the chief doesn't have that authority, if you have these tattoos, I don't think you'll ever see that in a policy, because that really paints him in a corner to then maybe not hire a good candidate. So the tattoos are brought in front of us. We do review them. You know, even the neck tattoo on the throat, that was a heavy conversation, and we decided to hire that guy, and I'm going to get it removed. And
So is it possible to update the language to include something along those lines about tattoos don't preclude you from employment because there's a process that you go through, and spelling out something about getting removed, all those things, none of that's in there. So if someone wanted to get, you know, if I wanted to get a job, I wouldn't know if this was a hand tattoo or not. I would think it's a wrist tattoo, but I think it could be a little clearer maybe about people think they aren't eligible.
And I think that's the other reason why, again, was to review policies such as this, because the chief's, one of his number one goals when he came to this board was trying to figure out how we could get more people to apply for the department, right? Finding areas that he's lacking. I'm not saying that it's a tattoo policy that is causing people not to apply for this, but does it have a part to play? Is it presenting a hindrance in people from applying to the job? So I was trying to find different areas that we could better assist. And I don't know, maybe that's something the chief or Captain Cooley could talk to us about, are areas that we notice people are either straying away from applying from the department. I know those stretch too far and in between, but what are some areas that we have noticed people aren't applying because of this, or we're getting these specific type of people? Why is that, and how can we better address them? So.
Scenario. They say you own a shop, a lot of people come in and buy, and, you know, visit your shop. You have a person who has tattoos and you have one that doesn't. Where are you gonna put the front counter? And if you do put the person in the front counter, you get complaints about, oh, I'm not able, it's like a turn off. What would you do? You know, cause you want, you have this shop, a lot of people come and visit you and stuff like that. Some people are very particular about, you know, tattoos and stuff like that. So if you have somebody who has tattoos, they complain and the customers complain about that, like, I don't like his tattoos and stuff. And it's up to you to whoever you put there, and it might affect your business and stuff like that. So you have to make situations like that and understand what they're saying as far as the police. They have a certain standard, they have restrictions that they have to go by. They wanna hire the best people available. And if that's part of the policy, you know, we just have to uphold that. That's what you have to look at. I mean, we're in a time where that tattoos affect people, and some people don't like it, some people do. So, but you gotta understand, if you're running a business and somebody, and a lot of people come and they might, just like with the earrings, you know, big, you know, nose rings, that turns a lot of people off. You have to look at it like that. So, I'm just saying, majority of people may not like that. Some people may like it.
Well, being the youngest one here, I think also living in the, I think it's also the people who are hiring, and that's no disrespect to the people that are older than me.
Oh, so would you like to say? No.
But I mean, I don't want to compare where we don't compete, but people got an issue if you're a transgender. Right, and that goes into the decision of who gets placed where, the color of your skin. So I think there's so many different factors to play to, whereas I can go into a shop or I can go into a store and see somebody with tattoos. I was just at a restaurant before this, and the person making my food that I could visibly see had tattoos, but that didn't stop me from eating my food. And so I personally, while we talk about professionalism, I don't think I laugh at this matter because I don't think a tattoo is going to stop somebody's capability of doing their job. Somebody who has a tattoo on their face or a tattoo on their hand or whatever can still possibly do the job 10 times better than somebody who doesn't have a tattoo. So I don't think that is something to prejudge somebody else.
Well, we do
I get that.
I think Faith probably hit the nail on the head when she said the military down their standards because of hiring. That's happening across the board, businesses and everywhere else. And I think the way the police department is moving with it, where they're taking it on a case by case basis, are people willing to get it like, I think they're right in tune with where something like this has to be.
I'd rather have somebody respond with the tattoo than nobody respond.
Thank you.
I mean, if those are my choices.
I understand that. The fact of the matter is, when some people do not, you know.
The subjectivity of it is, there's an excellent officer that I've interacted with that has a thin blue line tattoo, and that could be seen as offensive to people, but it didn't stop him from being an excellent officer. So I think the subjectiveness on what's approved and what isn't approved just needs to be spelled out a little more clear, because like I said, this could be seen as a hand tattoo. This could be offensive to someone, but I wouldn't know that because I don't think it is. So I just need the language to be a little clearer.
And I do have an example at when I did the police academy, the gentleman beside me had literally went up to the chief and said, do you think I've been trying to apply, will this keep me from, so he walked straight up there and asked that. So maybe if the policy was a little clearer, he would have known that.
I saw that you were trying to talk.
I forgot.
Okay. I'm sorry.
So I guess, do we have recommendations for the police based on current policies they have?
Yeah, I think we pretty much said what we had. You got it. All right, perfect. Okay, well, then we are going to, because the cases that we wanted to review today had to do with the juvenile policy, we wanted to review the executive session right after, but we'll continue with the public meeting after we go into executive session. I move that the Citizens Review Board recess into executive session for, how many minutes do you think? Yes.
Oh, shoot, under, probably 45 minutes.
Okay. All right. Then recess into executive session for 45 minutes to review information relating to PSB cases. 23 PSB 0010. To discuss personnel matters of non-elected personnel pursuant to KSA 75.319B2. And to protect the privacy interests of an identifiable individual. Anything else? Oh, thank you. So I just made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Objects.
Okay.
I think last time it was only 20 minutes, so did something change from the last meeting to this meeting to where we need 45 minutes for this?
We can sure do less. There's quite a few slides. Some of them are fast. We can sure do less and come back for more time if you guys would rather do that.
It's because there were people that weren't here and we have to review the whole thing.
We never reviewed any of it last.
Oh, yeah, that's great. Okay, so second and discussion.
Yes, I just will not be voting for 45 minutes. I think we should do shorter, because 45 minutes if we end earlier, that's just a waste of time, in my opinion, for the citizens.
Okay, then
25.
Yeah, and I don't have a problem doing 20 or 25, and I can tell you like, hey, there's 10 more slides or whatever also.
I'd like to amend the motion.
I'd like to amend the
Okay.
motion to 20 minutes.
Oh, you're ambitious. All right. It's like a friendly amendment for 30.
I think, I promise,
25.
I promise to keep my mouth closed so Captain Cooley can get through all his slides.
Is there a second on 20 minutes? Okay, is there any other friendly amendments?
25 minutes.
All right, is there a second on 25 minutes?
Second.
All in favor of the friendly amendment to meet for 25 minutes? Okay. And then because the original motion was to meet for 45 minutes and there was a second, all in favor for meeting for 45 minutes?
No, no, you've already said
25.
it's not, it's, you have to
25.
get a vote on the motion, the amended motion.
Okay, on the amended motion, thank you. So we are taking a vote on the amended motion for 25 minutes in executive session. Yeah, who seconded that?
Like 3 or 4.
Everyone.
Stephanie.
Okay, so 25 minutes, we're gonna come back at
5:42.
6:07.
this before.
Hi, your video is back live.
Thanks, sir.
Back there, go ahead.
All right,
Push it.
we have returned from executive session, no binding action was taken, the board will not be taking the action. Back into new business. I would like to make a motion that we, add a line item to this so that Greg can do a secretary report based on all the emails that we've been getting.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Okay. Greg, would you like to give your secretary report now, because there's been quite a few emails that have been zipping around.
Yes, I'll try to make this very quickly brief. First and foremost, carrying back from 2 meetings, Captain Cooley, if at some point today you could just give the board a response in regards to the non-emergent lines from citizens' email about non-emergency lines. And then also another citizen's email about patrol car clothing. If you could do that, preferably both out loud on camera and somewhat in email, so I can just copy and paste, but if not, that's okay too. Also, I forgot to email Travis back from last month's meeting. But that he is wanting his case reviewed, and I believe that it was discussed to have this case reviewed next month. So I just wanted to remind the board of that. We have somebody who, Mr. Marzar. Yes, thank you. He is wanting, his case is being reviewed tonight. I believe Zach, thank you, Zach, for sending him the link. Zach has sent him a link. So he may be on tonight, he may not, but he does have comments that he wants me to read. And last but not, or 2 other things, we just recently received an email from, earlier from Vince, that he would like to add 25 PSB 3566. That was 25 PSB 3566. He wants to add that to the list of review. And he has a short electronic presentation he'd like to make during public comment, if that is added. We also have an email from, I won't say her name, 25 PSB 2454, that she would like to be reviewed.
2454.
2454, that is correct. 25 PSB 2454. And so whatever the board's decision is tonight, I will mention those and get those emailed out. Board meeting. And last but not least, I believe the only policies that we still have on the list to review are ICT 1 policy. I believe that was scheduled to be on the next month's meeting, but I could be wrong. And then Josh wanted the misdemeanor policy and the, I can't read my handwriting, BV investigation. Domestic violence investigations to be policy as well. And those are your monthly.
Can you clarify on misdemeanors what you mean?
If I remember correctly, it was when officers commit misdemeanors went off into duty. So it was related to officer conduct when they commit misdemeanors. But I could be misremembering.
Since our clerk of the, what is her official title? Thank you. Since Shanita's not here, I imagine those questions would be answered by her, because we did do the next few months and give her a schedule. So without having that, I appreciate you bringing that up, and we can just clarify with Shanita through email over the next couple of weeks to make sure those are added.
In response to your report, I do want to flag that we need to amend our agenda because Travis's case is on our docket to review tonight in our executive session. And so if we're inviting him back next month, we need to strike that item from this month. And his case is 3567. 25 PSP 3567.
I second your motion to amend the agenda to move 25 PSV 3567 to November. Any discussion?
November or October?
I'm sorry, October. It's September now.
I will get that email sent. I was funeral planning this month and it's been stressful, so I'll get that email sent out. I apologize.
And there's a motion and a second to amend the agenda to remove that item. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Thank you, Greg, and for your personal privilege, I really appreciate all the work that you put into this, because I know there's a lot of people emailing and some of them email a lot, so thank you.
Yes. I hope they don't wake you up in the middle of the night when they come through.
I'm sorry if mine.
All right, so next new business is PSV case review. Basically, I would say give yourself a few minutes to familiarize it, and then we can talk about if there's any cases you want to bring forward. Thank you, Catherine, Seeley, for this. It's very helpful to see. This is our running list, if you weren't sure of cases we have to
We're not too off base.
review.
Right.
Having a running list helps. Shows that we are doing things. I guess I just have a question. Is there a welfare check policy procedures on how a welfare check is handled? Because I'm looking at the 25 PSV 3809. I don't necessarily want to review that case. I'm more interested in the, is there a policy that how welfare checks are handled?
No, and the welfare check is just a call.
Oh, okay. Well, it says did not follow policy and procedure on a welfare check call, so it's,
They just listed the type of call. Sometimes they'll put on a DV call, sometimes they'll put on a welfare call.
got it, thank you.
Could be an accident.
Pretty good chance to review. You want to bring anything forward?
The only ones that I was asked to be added to the list of the two that the citizens have brought forward, the ones that I listed in mine.
So I'd like to make a motion.
Yes.
Make sure there's no other discussion, no one else wants to bring anything forward.
I move that 25 PSB 2454 and 25 PSB 3566 be added to the list for review.
Any discussion? All in favor?
I
Any opposed? Okay,
think I was really more discussion on this.
oh, go ahead, I was gonna move on to board agenda subcommittee updates, if you've got something else.
Yeah, I'll wait to the board discussion.
Okay.
Does this include the next month's meeting? I know we're,
We'll do that at the end, yeah.
okay,
So I would like to ask the board, there's a case review subcommittee that was formed. I would like the board, since we have really streamlined that process and done a good job of reviewing cases and voting on a board, can we dissolve the case review subcommittee? I'd like to make a motion that we dissolve the CRB case review subcommittee then. All in favor?
Aye.
That leaves our only other subcommittee. Do you wanna give an update or?
So you guys received the proposed strategic plan earlier today that was sent out. And so it's just a matter of everyone looking at it, deciding where we want to go. It would be nice if we were to think about what months we want different reports. We've started discussing that, and I think with our secretary evaluated those. I think it would just be nice to have kind of a little cheat sheet of what should be coming generally every year, each month. So we could maybe put that as a final discussion in October or November to get it finalized.
Did everybody get the email about the doodle poll to go to the retreat? I would say we need to make sure that that's part of our retreat. And I did tell her that, but we can definitely have that be our, like, whatever date we pick, that's when we're also gonna.
Yeah, that would be a good option. And then the only other thing is, what am I going for? Josh is going to present at his stab in
next month, and then my Councilwoman Ballard has suggested that we host some public safety meetings, so she may be taking me around to different neighborhood associations and spaces, so he's spreading the good word of the CRB here in District 6.
And I did District 2 last month, and it was received pretty well.
We have one neighborhood association that wants somebody to present, so if anybody has not presented and would like to, you can let me know and I'll put you in contact.
Which neighborhood association?
Or do you know what side of town?
Yeah.
Or which district it's in?
I think it's Midtown,
Oh, that'd
College
be-
Hill-ish.
Oh, those are different places.
Well, in that general area. I guess I didn't read that.
Yeah, it's Midtown is firmly District 6, but then like Uptown and College Hill would be District 1.
Oh, yeah, College Hill.
Yeah.
I met her at a Win and we just vaguely kind of talked about it. It's off of Kellogg somewhere.
Did we decide if we're gonna do like a city council update, or are we just taking the initiative to do it through the downs? Like, have we thought about, hey, city council, this is what like presenting during public agenda, like a city council meeting?
I can reach out to our representative and ask you.
I think if we do that though, we should be prepared. It's like, I know there's been, and Councilwoman Ballard has mentioned this, there's rumblings about like maybe, because I know there's that tier of what CRPs can do, and some discussion of us moving up that ladder. So if we can position on that, I feel like that might be helpful to address in that space. In front of city council, as they're thinking about our work. They say, hey, do you wanna have more responsibilities? And we'd say, we're good with where we're at. It's like, you know what, we can take on, a little bit more with the PSB and that stuff.
That might be a conversation at the retreat. Not
During the retreat, yeah, you're right. And I hope everyone has had a chance to respond so that we can get it. Anything else, ma'am?
No, I don't have anything.
Okay, perfect. Board discussion and comments, which is gonna also include calendar. Is there any board discussion relevant to?
The only thing I would like to say is that I do appreciate the social push in the news for the police discussing pedestrian safety versus vehicles. I really do appreciate that kind of, it's not forward thinking because they're coming out because of issues, but that trying to think about safety of pedestrians.
I also appreciate that after the terrible incident on the east side in my neighborhood, I emailed all of city council and I was like, pretty please can we make this a priority?
What happened?
There was a young boy that was killed pretty terribly. The gentleman that was speeding and like maybe, I don't know, allegedly on something, but yeah, it was pretty It's a minor who just finished his first day of high school.
And there was a couple, I mean, there were other pedestrian incidences with motor vehicles, and the police did a really nice job of presenting general safety. It was aired on multiple news stations. And I thought the representative from the police department seemed spot on.
I felt like they addressed it fairly quickly.
Yeah.
I would like to give the board an opportunity to attend an event, Saturday, close, I'll understand if no one can come, but the 27th, there is a, like a memorial, like a vigil for Cedric Lofton. So if you'd like to attend that, it'll be right next to Jayak at 7 o'clock.
I don't know if it's a discussion point, but I did, well, I know it is. The federal immigration policy that empowers local police to be a force multiplier, 287G, changed this month in that the federal government would cover the salaries of police officers who are trained and certified to conduct immigration operations. And so I know we discussed this in the summer, but I don't know if anybody here has been part of conversations about if the city is reconsidering its stance on cooperation with Homeland Security via the 287G program or any of its other partnerships.
We don't have the staffing right now due to the call load and everything to even discuss or consider anything like that right now. It's business as usual. City of Wichita citizens have called. So no, we haven't had any discussion on this.
And the chief said at a town hall that I went to that that's not, they're not engaging with that. So I think you were there.
I was, but I also, getting a whole salary paid is a pretty sweet budget deal. So we wanted to see if the conversation had evolved at WP leadership level because of that.
So let's set the, unless there's any other board discussion, let's go ahead and set the agenda and then we'll go into executive session for 2461.
Before we go into executive session, I am asking if Captain Cooley can give an update on those items that I asked so that I can get back with citizens. In addition to your report, Captain Cooley, were you able to, and you don't have to answer this now, but were you on the back where the what did you call this earlier? The bids list of
That's our running list of
running
cases,
list.
yeah.
9 and 10, just to clean up this list a little bit more, were we able to figure out if the officers were the same in 25 PSP 1610 and 25 PSP 1349?
Yeah, they're not the same.
They're not,
Okay.
which makes the list a little bit easier.
And to not put Captain Cooley on the spot, can you email this, the CRE with the answers instead of having to make it answer right now, his questions?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
While I would like that, I think because we are live streamed and we.
Well, I meant so you could read it in your secretary notes next month. Doesn't mean you can't email them earlier, but if you read aloud on camera, that gives them an opportunity to give an answer. All right, so next month, I believe we have asked for 3567 to go on, and actually without having Shanita here, I don't remember if it's just the DB and the ICT-1 policy. But I believe that gives us 2 cases to review next month because that's 2461, and then Mr. Mazar's.
It's tonight.
That's the 2461, okay.
And then the 3567 is Travis's. It's from last month.
Then it would just be the next one on the list then.
So
Since Citizen brought forth this month and next month, and then Vince brought his forward. So that's 2 citizens.
yes, however, if we're following the 2-month time frame like we've been doing the other ones, I was thinking about Vincent's and the other citizens
In November.
in November. Because if we're reviewing the ICT, or excuse me, did you say the DB policy as well?
Yeah, what you read was ICT-1 and then the domestic violence policy.
Yeah, and I believe the misdemeanor policy too, but if we're reviewing the domestic violence policy, I believe that policy was brought forth because of 25 PSB 1610. And if we want to follow the conjunction of reviewing policy
With the case,
with cases, then 25 PSB 1610.
I agree with that.
I have a couple of things. The non-emergent line is just, it's on permanent hold for right now. The patrol car clothing, I started to reach out to some vendors on, just, I don't see cheap, financially responsible options for that. Something we can either give them or it's temporary till they get to where they need. But I don't have anything back on that from vendors on, cause we're gonna have to order a lot and put them in the car, so I gotta put in a bulk order, so that's gonna take some time to figure out what vendor on that. And then, we had discussed, and then they reached out again. Dr. Berger and Dr. Skinner are wanting to come discuss their study with you all. They just asked if we had a time. I looked at the agenda from last month and I had a note on there that it could possibly be October. So I just need to give them a month if we know one.
If we're doing the retreat in October and we already have cases, should we tell them November?
We're gonna work with Berger at retreat.
I don't think so.
That's fine. I just want to remind the board that November and December are heavy travel, vacation, holiday months, and we have moved meetings both for November and December to the second Thursday of each of those months.
Which I may not be able to attend depending on how late my out-of-town meetings are.
That is November 13th and December 11th.
Might not be able to do December, so I think that's the day I get back.
I mean, as long as we have quorum. It'd be nice to have everyone, but I mean, we can't.
No, and that's fine. I just want to throw that out there in case there's more concerns.
Which I think he could still give us a report, it just couldn't receive and file, because we're not technically in a meeting. All right, any other board discussion?
And I'm sorry, we're not doing 3567
Correct. But we're
because
doing,
he's coming back to speak.
That's because of secretary error.
you get to make a mistake every now and then, you're doing a great job. Just 2461, so, and how long do you think for 2461?
Less than the previous one, so 15 minutes
15 minutes.
probably.
So then we need to give you back an answer for Dr. Berger tonight.
Well, some point, I don't wanna leave them hanging. I told them that, I believe it's set for October, but you guys would be setting the agenda tonight. That was the answer I gave them, so I didn't tell them, hey, be here in October, but, so I
If we
need
know
to
more
tell them.
people are gonna be here in October, maybe we should do it in October.
Can you briefly go over the agenda again? Or what you have?
I have that it's the 25 PSB 3567 Vince's, which I don't know if I wrote this down.
Vince's is going in November.
In November, that's right. Then it's gonna be the next case at the top of the list, which is 25 PSB 1103. Because the other people.
You guys had the ICT policy, the DV policy, the 3567 case, and then the 1610 case, because
The
we already reviewed the DV policy.
So how about we don't review one of the policies, we only have one policy review. And we have the Dr. Berger report, so it sounds like most people are gonna be here in October.
So then I would say just take up both DV
And the,
policy and DV case.
so instead of reviewing policy, we're gonna have Dr. Berger's report.
That sounds good.
And then no DV case, so no,
It's just gonna be 3567.
it's one case.
That gives us space to catch up on the rest for November and December, which we just need a quorum, but I think the most people here to hear that report, since it's an annual report, is probably pretty important.
You know how long his report should take, technically? Did he give an estimated time?
Which one?
Dr. Berger.
60s. Oh, Dr. Berger's. I have no idea what he's gonna cover.
And then I guess 35, 67.
Maybe 5 minutes.
Oh, okay. Then should we review one more case, just to condense the list, like either the
What
next
happened to
one?
3566 then?
3567.
For some reason, I thought somebody said something about 3566.
That's Vincent's.
Yeah,
That's
Oh,
Vincent, yeah.
that's what I'd like to see is to have,
If he's here every meeting, is right, then I can email him, and I'm sure he's okay with October.
that's how I was hoping we could do Vince's and 3567, because I know he just said that's 5 minutes, so Vince's case is probably,
Vince also has a presentation.
Oh, that is true.
It's quick.
Who's gonna do it during public comment? Yeah.
well, but he doesn't need to do it during public comment if we do it during the executive session.
He can't do it during executive session, can
Yeah, they can talk, they just can't stay in here when we're deliberating.
Yes, to make the address petition question, that would be.
Are we able to give a time limit to Dr. Berger, like 30 minutes, or is it just open-ended?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Oh, I can tell him whatever you guys.
I feel like 30 minutes.
For a 2-hour meeting, yeah, don't go over, because that gives us 30 minutes to present, 15 minutes to ask questions. So if he does a 30-minute presentation, we're gonna have questions.
Is it shorter or that amount of time?
Hour.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask questions. I don't know about y'all. Kind of my thing.
I guess if you could find out how long he makes his presentation, but we prefer it not to go over 30 minutes.
I was gonna say, if he presents for 30 minutes, that then allows at least 15, 20 minutes of questions, and that's gonna take.
But then we're not reviewing any policy, we're just reviewing those cases, okay. Like we did it. All right. Then, you're welcome to leave after this, we're just gonna have one case and then we're gonna adjourn. I move that the citizens review board recess into executive session for 15 minutes to review information relating to PSV 25 PSV 2461 pursuant to KSA 754319. To discuss personnel matters of non-elected personnel, to protect the privacy interests of an identifiable individual. Executive session will begin at 6:35. Yeah, 6:35 and end at 6:55.
650.
I mean 6:50. Thank you. The meeting will resume in this room. Can I get a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
And then we need to give, you guys already pre-signed. recommendation.
And I guess that would be maybe December.
You are unmuted and video is on.
Thank you. Okay. So we have returned from executive session. No binding action was taken on this professional standard case, but the board would like to review the property and evidence policy in the future. So I think maybe the December is but for right now. Unless there's anything else, I would entertain a motion to adjourn unless you guys have anything else.
Sure.
Second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
You guys good? 8 minutes.